The glass door of the Pinnacle Tower swung open at exactly 6:45 p.m., as it had every weekday for the past 19 years. Gloria Brown, wrapped in her worn navy coat that had weathered nearly 2 decades of Chicago winters, slid her cleaning cart through the marble lobby. The security guard, a new one she noticed, barely looked up from his phone. "Evening," she offered. The guard grunted in response. Some things never changed. The faces behind the desks rotated, younger, increasingly distracted, but the indifference remained constant. Gloria was 52 now, with gray streaks in her tightly pulled-back hair that she no longer bothered to dye. Her hands, once smooth and delicate, now bore the calluses and chemical burns that came with a lifetime of industrial cleaning products. The elevator doors closed around her, sealing her into the quiet solitude she had grown to appreciate. Gloria punched the button for the 42nd floor, home to Blackridge Capital, where she'd start her nightly rounds. As the elevator climbed, she mentally reviewed her online coursework, corporate restructuring principles she'd studied the night before. Her final paper for her MBA was due in 3 weeks. The elevator opened to reveal the sleek, modern offices of Blackridge. Even at nearly 7 in the evening, half the desks were still occupied by ambitious young analysts, their eyes fixed on screens of endless numbers and charts. Gloria knew their patterns like clockwork. Who stayed late? Who left coffee cups balanced precariously close to keyboards? Who secretly cried in the bathroom stalls? The cleaning staff were invisible, ghosts who tidied the remains of the day while the financial elite continued their relentless climb. "Excuse me?" Gloria murmured as she navigated her cart around a huddle of analysts. None of them moved. None of them heard. She made her way to the corner office, Mr. Patterson's domain. CEO of Blackridge Capital, 45 and already on his second wife, with a corner view of Lake Michigan that cost more per square foot than Gloria's entire apartment. She knocked softly, ensuring he wasn't there before entering. His desk was a disaster as usual. Empty coffee cups, crumpled papers, a half-eaten sandwich from Paulie's Deli down the street. Gloria carefully separated the trash from the documents, noting the names on the files as she did. Potential acquisitions, market forecasts, property valuations. She absorbed it all with practiced indifference, her eyes scanning quickly as she straightened papers into neat stacks. A document marked Confidential Pinnacle Tower Asset Liquidation caught her attention. She paused, allowing herself a moment's focused reading, while her hands continued their automatic motion of wiping down the desk. Recommend immediate divestiture of Pinnacle Tower property. Significant debt burden. Estimated market value at 60% of 2018 evaluation. Expedited sale within 90 days. Gloria's heart picked up pace, but her face remained impassive. She'd been waiting for something like this. Blackridge had been exhibiting all the signs: layoffs, cutbacks on office supplies, the cancellation of the annual holiday party. The pandemic had hit them hard, and their gamble on quick recovery had failed. She returned to her cart, gathered her supplies, and continued her rounds. In her earbuds, a financial podcast played, something about REITs and commercial property investment strategies. Gloria listened intently as she emptied trash cans and wiped down surfaces, a student of the very world that looked past her. "Mom, you sure about this? It's almost everything we have." Marcus Brown sat at Gloria's small kitchen table, reviewing spreadsheets on his laptop. At 29, he had his mother's sharp features and analytical mind, though he'd been fortunate enough to channel those gifts into a salaried position at an accounting firm, rather than pushing a cleaning cart. "I've never been more sure of anything," Gloria responded, setting a mug of tea in front of her son. "I've studied this building for 19 years. I know its maintenance costs, its occupancy rates, its structural issues. I've overheard every meeting, seen every report." But 4.2 million, even with the bank loan, that's scraping everything we've built. Gloria smiled, the kind of smile that carried decades of patience. I started cleaning that building when you were 10 years old. Every night I'd come home, help you with homework, then study myself. Every bonus, every tax refund, every birthday check from your grandmother, all of it went into our investments. She sat down across from him, her posture perfect despite the exhaustion of a full day's work. Do you know what they call people like me in those offices? When they bother to acknowledge me at all? Marcus looked up, his expression softening. Cleaning lady. Not Gloria, not Ms. Brown, just cleaning lady, like it's my species, not my job. She took a sip of her tea. But I've been listening and learning all these years. Those men in their expensive suits, they talk as if I'm not even there. Do you know how much information you can gather when people think you're invisible? Marcus nodded. He'd grown up hearing his mother's stories, watching her transform from an overworked single mother with a high school education to a strategic investor with an almost supernatural patience. The Patterson Group made bad bets during COVID. They thought commercial real estate would bounce back fast. Now they're liquidating assets to cover debts. They need a quick sale, and they think no one knows how desperate they are. Marcus turned his attention back to the spreadsheets. Your offer is significantly below market value. Yes, but I'm offering all cash, fast closing. The bank loan is pre-approved and our investment portfolio covers the rest. They need this deal more than they need the extra million they might get waiting for a traditional buyer. Marcus studied his mother with newfound respect. When did you become Gordon Gekko? Gloria laughed. I'm nothing like Gekko. I don't want to destroy anything, I just want what I've earned. She reached across the table and closed her son's laptop. Besides, I'm not doing this for revenge. I'm doing it because it's a sound investment. The building is undervalued, the location is prime, and I know exactly how to cut operational costs by 22% without affecting tenant satisfaction. Your MBA thesis, Marcus remembered. Exactly. This isn't emotional, it's business. But the slight curve of Gloria's lips suggested that perhaps, just perhaps, there was a certain satisfaction in the symmetry of it all. The closing took place on a Tuesday afternoon in a sterile conference room at Chicago Trust Bank. Gloria wore a simple navy suit she'd purchased specifically for the occasion, professional but not flashy. Her hair was pulled back in its usual bun, her only jewelry a pair of pearl earrings that had belonged to her mother. Across the table sat James Patterson, CEO of Blackridge Capital, flanked by his CFO and legal counsel. Patterson was red-faced, clearly unhappy about the terms of the sale, but trapped by his company's financial realities. He'd barely looked at Gloria during the introductions, his eyes flicking past her as if searching for the real buyer. And you represent Horizon Acquisitions? Patterson asked, directing his question to Marcus, who sat beside Gloria. Actually, I'm just here as family support, Marcus replied smoothly. Ms. Brown is the president and sole shareholder of Horizon Acquisitions. Patterson's eyes finally settled on Gloria, confusion evident in his furrowed brow. Recognition flickered after a moment. Don't you work in the building? He asked, voice lowered as if they were sharing a secret. I've worked in Pinnacle Tower for 19 years, Gloria confirmed, her voice steady and dignified. As part of the custodial staff. Silence fell over the conference room. The CFO stopped shuffling his papers. The lawyers paused their whispered consultations. I don't understand, Patterson said flatly. It's quite simple, Gloria replied. I'm purchasing the Pinnacle Tower property for the agreed-upon sum of $4.2 million. All paperwork is in order. The funds have been transferred to the escrow account. She nodded toward the closing attorney. Patterson's face cycled through confusion, disbelief, and something approaching anger. You're the cleaning lady? Gloria smiled placidly. I was the cleaning woman, yes. As of today, I'll be your landlord, as Blackridge Capital still has 4 years remaining on its lease of the 42nd floor. The CFO leaned over to whisper something in Patterson's ear. Patterson's jaw tightened, but he nodded curtly. The closing attorney, professional to a fault, continued as if the tension in the room wasn't thick enough to cut with a knife. If everyone is ready, we can proceed with the signatures. Gloria signed her name with careful precision on each marked line. Gloria Elaine Brown, watching as her signature transformed her from the invisible woman with the cleaning cart to the owner of a 46-story building in downtown Chicago. As the final document was signed and notarized, Patterson stood abruptly, buttoning his suit jacket. "Congratulations on your purchase, Ms. Brown," he said stiffly. "I hope you know what you're getting into. Commercial real estate isn't as simple as, well, your previous line of work." Gloria rose to her full height, extending her hand. "I appreciate your concern, Mr. Patterson, but I've had a unique perspective on this building's operations for nearly 2 decades. I assure you I know exactly what I'm doing." Patterson hesitated before briefly shaking her hand. Then he and his team gathered their things and exited without further pleasantries. When the door closed behind them, Marcus turned to his mother. "You did it." "We did it," she corrected, gathering her own papers into her modest leather portfolio, a gift from Marcus when she'd completed her MBA. "What now?" he asked. Gloria checked her watch, 4:30 p.m. "Now, we go to the building. I want to be there when the staff receives the ownership change memo." The lobby of Pinnacle Tower gleamed as it always did, the afternoon sun streaming through its wall of windows. Gloria and Marcus walked through the revolving doors, dressed in their business attire, indistinguishable from the other professionals coming and going. The security guard, the same one who had barely acknowledged Gloria for years, looked up as they approached the desk. "Good afternoon," Gloria said. "I'm Gloria Brown, the new owner of the building. I believe you received a memo regarding the change in ownership." The guard's face registered shock. "You're G.E. Brown of Horizon Acquisitions?" "Yes. And this is my son, Marcus Brown, who will be the property's financial controller." The guard stood hastily. "Yes, ma'am. We received the notification about an hour ago. I didn't realize." "That's perfectly all right," Gloria said kindly. "Could you please provide us with access cards for the management office on the 2nd floor?" "Of course. Right away." As the guard busied himself with the access system, the elevator bank chimed. A group of Blackridge employees emerged, including a young analyst named Weber, who had worked on the 42nd floor for about 2 years. Gloria recognized him immediately. He was the one who regularly left coffee spills for her to clean, who once had a loud phone conversation about the help while she was emptying his trash can. Weber did a double-take as he passed, his stride faltering. "Ms. he began, clearly struggling to recall if he'd ever known her name. "Brown," Gloria supplied. "Gloria Brown." "Right, yes. You're not cleaning today?" he asked, gesturing vaguely at her suit. "No, Mr. Weber. I've taken on a new role. I'm the building's new owner." The young man's face went through a remarkable transformation: confusion, disbelief, and then alarm. "You bought the building? This building?" "Yes. Horizon Acquisitions completed the purchase this afternoon. You'll continue to have excellent janitorial service, of course, but I'll no longer be personally responsible for emptying your trash or cleaning up your coffee spills." Weber's mouth opened and closed like a fish out of water. Several of his colleagues had stopped to witness the exchange, their expressions similarly stunned. That's... Congratulations," he finally managed, before hurrying toward the exit, his colleagues in tow. The security guard returned with 2 access cards. "Here you are, Ms. Brown, and I'm sorry if I've ever been less than respectful. I didn't know..." Gloria waved away his apology. "We're starting fresh today, Mr. Davis, Jim Davis. Mr. Davis, thank you for your assistance." Gloria and Marcus headed for the elevator. As the doors closed around them, Marcus let out a low whistle. "That was worth the price of admission right there," he said. Gloria pressed the button for the second floor. "That wasn't about embarrassing anyone. It's about visibility. For 19 years, I was invisible in this building. Now I'm not. There's a difference." The elevator ascended smoothly, carrying Gloria upward just as her patient planning had done, step by careful step, investment by modest investment, night class by night class, over nearly 2 decades. 6 months later, Gloria stood at the window of what had once been James Patterson's corner office on the 42nd floor. The spring sun sparkled on Lake Michigan, casting the city in a golden glow. The office had been transformed. Gone were the heavy masculine furnishings, replaced with clean, modern pieces in warm tones. The wall that had displayed Patterson's hunting trophies now showcased local artists, many from Gloria's South Side neighborhood. A knock at the door interrupted her thoughts. "Come in," she called. Marcus entered, followed by a tall woman in a crisp uniform, the new head of building services. "Mom, Diane has the quarterly maintenance report ready for review." Gloria smiled warmly. "Thank you, Diane. Please, have a seat." As they settled around the conference table, Gloria couldn't help but reflect on the journey that had brought her here. The building was thriving under her management. Operational costs had indeed been reduced by the projected 22%. Tenant satisfaction was up, and they'd managed to fill 2 previously vacant floors with new businesses attracted by Gloria's innovative approach to commercial property management. Blackridge Capital still occupied the 42nd floor, though Patterson himself had moved his office to a less prestigious corner. He nodded stiffly to Gloria when they passed in the hallways, but never engaged beyond basic pleasantries. That was fine with her. She hadn't bought the building to torment him. She'd bought it because it was a sound investment, and because she understood its value in ways he never could. As Diane began her presentation, Gloria's attention was drawn to the cleaning staff quietly working in the corridor outside. A young woman pushing a familiar cart caught her eye, methodically moving from office to office, invisible to the busy professionals around her. "Excuse me a moment," Gloria said, rising from the table. She stepped into the hallway and approached the cleaning woman, who looked up in surprise. "Good afternoon," Gloria said warmly. "I'm Gloria Brown, the building owner." The woman straightened immediately, nervousness evident in her posture. "Yes, ma'am. I'm Teresa Lopez. Is everything okay with the cleaning services?" "Everything is excellent," Gloria assured her. "I just wanted to introduce myself and tell you about our employee education program. We provide tuition assistance for any staff member who wants to pursue further education." Teresa's eyes widened slightly. "Really? I've been thinking about taking some business courses, but—" "Business courses would be perfectly covered," Gloria smiled. "My office will send you the details. And Teresa, this building runs because of people like you. Don't let anyone make you feel invisible." Teresa nodded, a new light in her eyes. "Thank you, Ms. Brown." As Gloria returned to her meeting, she caught Marcus watching her with a knowing smile. He understood what this was all about. It had never been about revenge or even vindication. It was about changing the narrative, about showing that the people pushing mops and emptying trash cans were human beings with dreams, intelligence, and potential. Gloria settled back into her chair, the comfort of accomplishment warming her more than any corner office view ever could. For 19 years, she had cleaned their offices, listening and learning as she remained invisible to their privileged eyes. Now she owned the building, not as an act of triumph over those who had dismissed her, but as a testament to her own quiet determination. She had rewritten the story of what was possible, not just for herself, but for every invisible person who would come after her. And that, more than any financial victory, was worth every moment of the long, patient climb. In the boardroom of Pinnacle Tower, Gloria addressed the quarterly tenant meeting. Representatives from each company occupying the building sat around the large conference table, including James Patterson, who still couldn't quite meet her eyes. As you can see from the reports provided, Gloria continued, our energy efficiency initiatives have reduced overall building costs by 17% in the past quarter alone. These savings will be reflected in your next billing cycle. Murmurs of approval circulated around the table. A young woman from a tech startup on the 30th floor raised her hand. Ms. Brown, the rooftop garden initiative you mentioned, is that still moving forward? Gloria nodded. Yes, construction begins next month. The space will be available to all tenants and will include urban farming plots for those interested in participating. Patterson shifted in his seat. Is that really a prudent use of resources? Rooftop gardens don't exactly generate revenue. Gloria turned her calm gaze to him. Actually, Mr. Patterson, the garden will reduce our heating and cooling costs by an estimated 8% annually. It will also increase property value and tenant satisfaction, which does in fact generate revenue through retention and higher occupancy rates. She smiled slightly. I've prepared a detailed cost-benefit analysis if you'd like to review it after the meeting. Patterson cleared his throat, but said nothing more. As the meeting concluded, Gloria remained at the table, reviewing notes with Marcus as the tenants filtered out. Patterson was the last to leave, pausing at the door. Ms. Brown, he said, his voice lower than usual. A word? Marcus raised an eyebrow at his mother, who nodded for him to give them privacy. When they were alone, Patterson returned to the table but remained standing. I owe you an apology, he said, the words clearly difficult for him, not just for never learning your name in all those years, but for today. Your management of this property has been impressive. Gloria acknowledged his words with a small nod. Thank you, Mr. Patterson. He hesitated, then asked, How did you do it? Work as a cleaner all day, study at night, raise a son, and still manage to build enough capital to buy a building like this? Gloria considered him for a long moment. The same way anyone achieves anything worthwhile, Mr. Patterson. Patience, persistence, and the willingness to be underestimated. She gathered her papers. Plus, I had an advantage you never did. What's that? I could see the entire ecosystem of this building, from the security guards to the maintenance staff to the C-suite executives. I understood how every piece worked together, while most of you only ever looked up, never down. Patterson absorbed this, nodding slowly. Blackridge's lease is up for renewal next year, he said. We'll be staying. The board voted unanimously yesterday. I'm glad to hear it, Gloria responded honestly. Tenant stability is good for everyone. As Patterson finally left, Gloria remained at the table, looking out at the Chicago skyline she now partly owned. In the reflection of the window, she could see the ghost of her younger self, exhausted, invisible, yet absorbing everything, planning, waiting. She had never needed anyone's validation. She had simply needed their inattention, their underestimation, to build something truly remarkable. Not just a business empire, but a monument to patience, to the power of being overlooked, to the strength it takes to clean up other people's messes while quietly creating your own legacy. Gloria Brown, no longer the cleaning lady, but the woman who had cleaned their offices until she bought the building, smiled at her reflection and whispered to her younger self, "We were never invisible. They just didn't know how to see."